I grew up in a suburban community on the South Shore of Long Island. After high school, I attended Tufts University outside of Boston as an applied physics major. 1969 was a tumultuous year with the military draft and my beginning to wonder if applied physics was right for me. When I drew a high draft number, I decided to withdraw from college, work, and figure out what I really wanted to study. Cut that page. That summer, I began work in a new education venture in Stamford, Connecticut, which is worth noting because that is where I met my wife, Christine. In a fast few years, we were married, built ski trails, and started a school in Vail, Colorado, and I enrolled in the College of Engineering at Cornell University. My major was a new interdisciplinary offering called Public Systems, Planning, and Analysis, with a minor in Science, Technology, and Society. That's a mouthful. It included coursework and work study in economics, industrial, civil, and environmental engineering. Christine started her second nursery school and worked in Cornell to help us make it through those years. After graduating, we headed to what I thought was a perfect job with a firm located in Columbia, Maryland, a planned community outside of Washington, D.C. We bought our first home. Christine was 8 months pregnant, and it was only 5 days before I was to start my new job that I learned that the company that had hired and moved us to Columbia was laying off people and would not be able to honor our agreement. Looking at my wife's very large stomach, our very large mortgage payment, and our small financial reserves, I was devastated. I soon found work in Washington, D.C. with a small management consulting company that was breaking new ground with computer graphics for policy analysis. Thereafter, I was asked to apply for a position as a policy analyst at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory outside of Pasadena, California. At that time, they were experiencing reduced funding from NASA and were actively seeking to apply their engineering skills to energy technology, especially civilian solar panels, which had played such a key role in powering spacecraft. The projects were fascinating, including some very important work on nuclear waste management and an emergency approach for rationing of gasoline in the event of an oil embargo. As my career continued, I began to find that my engineering and economic skills were not sufficient to do all I wanted, and I was fortunate to be able to get a scholarship and stipend from my employer to attend Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government. So Christine and I and our 2 young children, Justin and Megan, traveled to Cambridge, Massachusetts, where we made the most of what Harvard University can offer while getting a Master's of Public Administration. During that time, Ronald Reagan was elected. One of his strong platform positions was to eliminate various federal departments. This did not bode well for my work back on the West Coast, so I started looking aggressively for alternatives. I was lucky to secure a joint position in financial planning systems and corporate planning at Exxon Corporation in New York City. Several years later, an opening came up in their Latin America office in Coral Gables, Florida. This would allow us to be near my parents, who had retired to Florida. We soon had our 3 children, including now our youngest, Sarah, in the back of our minivan, heading to our new home in South Florida. That is, after the required first stop at Disney World. We spent 13 years in South Florida, where I worked in several areas, including planning, development, implementation of computerized accounting systems, marketing and investment analysis, emergency planning and response, and finally, public affairs. In 1998, an opportunity came along to become the general manager of Bermuda. As some say, an assignment in Bermuda can put years back on your life. However, I was brought in because of problems brought on by my predecessor, who had alienated most of the employees and our major customers. My job was to get things back in order and find a successor who was a Bermudian. Unfortunately, I succeeded, and so I had to leave after 4 years. Along the way, I managed the conversion from a defined pension plan to a defined contribution plan as mandated by Bermudian law, introduction of low-sulfur diesel, organization of an international oil spill response exercise, and several difficult land purchase negotiations.